It's alleged that Mark Twain said the news of his passing was greatly exaggerated. So we're going to take that today. And so the news of Social Security's passing is also greatly exaggerated. He was usually exaggerated by politicians and Wall Street because they want to get their hands on it. So we're going to talk about that today, that in fact Social Security is safe as long as we don't, decide to give it over to Wall Street or something like that, over to the billionaires so they can go to Las Vegas and bet all our money. But Social Security is safe. It will be around here for hundreds of more years. The issue, the issue is how much you're going to get from the Social Security Administration, how much you're going to get in the future. That is what the Social Security Administration has been, the Social Security trustees and everybody has been warning politicians for decades, 30, 40 years, since the 1980s. They said, this is not sustainable in the future. We have to do something. Every single year they said, we've got to do something. We've got to do something. And politicians says, okay, all right, we're going to do something. And that something turns out to be nothing. They have pretty much done nothing, and they continue to do nothing. So we're going to talk about that today, and this is also a live Q&A. Looks like I've already got a bunch of questions, and I've also got about 9 video questions that people sent in, so I'm going to get to those as well. But in terms of what we're talking about, Social Security. Okay, so why do politicians say this? Well, they're fear-mongering. They're saying, hey, it's bankrupt, all the money is gone, it's, somebody stole the money from the trust fund. That is all incorrect. Why do they say that? Because this is a long-term plan. They've been saying this for 30 years and not doing anything to fix it. They've been saying it for 30 years that it's bankrupt. It's not bankrupt, because what happens, this is the new Social Security Trustees report that just came out. In terms of, so the blue line is basically how much money we have coming in. So as long as there's people working, as long as your kids and nephews and nieces and the kid down the street and all those continue to work, they continue to pay into Social Security. They pay FICA taxes. So where does your check come from? It comes from there. The problem is it's not demographics. It's not we didn't have enough kids. It's not, whatever. It's because the people at the top who are making all the money don't pay into Social Security like the rest of us. But anyway, so we've got this much coming in. But the problem is, quite a few years ago, we stopped putting more money into the system. So in the 1980s, they made a bunch of changes. They actually did something in the 1980s, and they made a bunch of changes. Some of the things, a lot of us don't like. They raised the retirement age to 67 years old, but they did a lot of stuff to build up the trust fund. And now the trust fund is about $2.6 trillion. It's actual money. If you're receiving Social Security, you're receiving part of that money. So the Social Security Trust Fund is there. It's covering that gap between that kid down the street working and paying your Social Security check. He's only paying that much of your Social Security check, but you're getting this much. There's a gap there, right? There's a gap, and that gap is getting larger. And the problem is, what's funding that gap? What is paying for that gap? It's basically the trust fund. So every year, money comes out of the trust fund. So last year, we're looking at about $103 billion came out of the trust fund and went into your Social Security checks. So all those people saying it's all fake money, well, give it back then. Give us back the $100 billion. I'm sure you already spent it. So, but right now there's about $2.5 trillion left in the trust fund. And the problem is it's running out. It's just like savings. You put money away for savings, so for when you retire in the future, and guess what? Those savings, eventually disappear. So that's exactly what's happening now, is that trust fund is running out. So Social Security is still going to be here. That's, again, as long as politicians don't convince us to get rid of it. And that's one of the things, that's why they're saying it's bankrupt and all this kind of crazy stuff, is because that's exactly what they want to do. They say, hey, it's bankrupt anyway, that all that trust fund is all fake money and stuff, and so you're not going to get a check in the future. So, and we've tried nothing and we're all out of ideas, politicians say. So I guess we just go ahead and have to give it to Wall Street, which has been their intent for decades. If you go onto my YouTube description, you can see the playbook they wrote in the 1980s specifically for this. Have people hate Social Security, make customer service terrible, which they're doing a phenomenal job at, firing all those people, not updating the Social Security computer system that Social Security has been begging them out for decades, making Social Security, just making people hate Social Security, fear that it's not going to be around, and then you cause that fear and panic, and then you come in your white horse, and politicians coming in their white horse, and they say, well, let's just give it over to Wall Street. That's the only alternative. No, you've had alternatives for 30 years. You just didn't do anything. And I'm laying blame. This community, we lay blame on both sides, Republicans and Democrats. If either side or both sides would have done what they were supposed to do, what the Social Security trustees said you have to do, then we wouldn't be in this issue. But as of right now, we're looking at about benefit cuts, not 2034. It's coming sooner and more. So we're talking probably about 21, 22, 23% cuts. And a couple of the reasons is the Social Security Fairness Act that was passed. It gives extra money to people, government employees, federal employees, state employees, city employees that paid through different systems. And people are going to complain about extra money. No, it gives you a higher percentage rate than the other 97%. That's documented. And now we have a new thing that was just passed last week, the big, beautiful bill, because people that make more money and no longer have to pay taxes on their Social Security benefits. And taxes on your Social Security benefits, when you pay taxes on Social Security benefits, which the bottom 50% don't anyway, if you're lower income, you don't pay taxes on your Social Security anyway, so that doesn't help you at all. But it's going to hurt you because the cuts are going to come sooner and they're going to be deeper. So that is a reality. So we just have to ignore the politicians and say, contact them and tell them to, come on. I've on my website as well, mygovexpert.com. I've got, if you go into the more, there's information on the appeals and Medicaid and living overseas and overpayments and living on Social Security alone. And I'm adding all kinds of different, and I'm working on another part of this website that's going to be, I would argue, the best in the country for helping people out. Speaking of, Mona Lita is our hero for the day. We can pray and try to stick together and help one another. That's exactly what we're doing here, right? And the new project I'm working on is definitely going to help out a lot of people. So please look forward to that. Okay, and then support that. I'm going to need y'all's help. This is a community effort. Social Security and Medicare myths. So you go in there, and my first one, myth number one, is the Social Security was, stolen, and in other words, bankrupt. It's going bankrupt, and millions of deceased people are receiving Social Security, and Social Security is a Ponzi scheme, and there's just so much fake out there. And the reason there is why they're dangerous, because they create unnecessary fear. And why do they persist? And number one right there, political motivations. Politicians try to, tell you all this crazy stuff in order to ulterior motives. So anything that you hear on anything like that, you say, okay, who benefits when I believe this? Who benefits when I think Social Security is, doomed and it's going to go bankrupt and stuff? Who benefits? Who wants that $2.5 trillion in the bank? Who wants that $1.2 trillion that comes in every year through FICA taxes? Who wants that? Who's wanted that since 1935? Wall Street. And who do they own, other than most of the money in the world? Politicians. So that's who benefits. Okay, let's get into some of your questions about all things Social Security, Medicare. And I apologize, Ari and I from Chapter, we did a live Q&A yesterday, so I wasn't able to get to those video questions that were asked. So I've got like 9 of those today I will get to. But let's go ahead and get to all of your other questions. Let's see, Skylar, the benefits calculator on the SSA website says these are estimates only. Is there a way to know the exact amount before you apply? You can do the long division. So you can go onto the website and do your actual calculations. I've also got on my website, it gives you kind of an idea of how to do those calculations. But it's basically you take your high 35 years of earnings and then you index them for inflation. I know nobody does this. I've taken hundreds of thousands of retirement claims, and I think I only had like 2 people actually do the actual calculations. And this one guy came in and he had a big spreadsheet and it was all in pencil and he said, "Oh yeah, I did all the calculations. I indexed it and I did this and I did that and I did the bin points, the 90 and 32, 15%. I did all that." And his wife was just sitting there, just just like rolling her eyes and like, I got to live with this guy. Anyway, but the Social Security website, SSA.gov, My Social Security, the closer you get to your full retirement age, the more accurate it is. And what do I mean by that? Because if you look at the Social Security, the estimate when you're like 50 years old, you can see on there it says, okay, this is based on estimates, projected in the future. When you turn your full retirement age in 67, obviously you're only 50 years old, so we're talking another 17 years, 27 years, 17 years, yeah. So we're going to project that you're going to continue working like you're working now. So if you made $50,000 last year, we're going to project that you're going to continue making $50,000 and a little bit of inflation and stuff like that for the future. So it's really an estimate. If you increase your work, it'll be more than the estimate. If you decrease, it'll be less. So the closer you get to your full retirement age, the more accurate it is because it actually has actual numbers rather than future estimates. So, but to answer your question, nobody can tell you exactly until they run it through the system, until they run it through MCS, the modernized claim system. And even sometimes, particularly on survivor benefits, if someone does someone takes a claim right over the phone or something like that and tells you how much you're going to get. Sometimes that might not be accurate. You always wait for the decision letter. For retirement, it should be easy. For survivor benefits, those calculations are a little bit wonky. But the best way is always to know 100% down to the dollar is to actually take an application. So is to file an application. That's when the cuts come in, when the trust fund is depleted. That is correct. So Social Security will still be here, still issuing checks, but those checks are going to be, a 20% cut. And most people out there can't handle a 20% cut. Well, the people that can handle it don't care. We're politicians, so government just keeps passing the mess to the next administration. Yes, and they've been doing that. Both have been doing that, obviously. And one political party has tried to do things, and the other ones, have always said privatize, privatize, privatize. But whatever the case may be, it hasn't been done. Michael, here's what's so hilarious. I got screwed by Republican Ronald Reagan when I was 20, making my retirement age 67. And now another Republican, Donald Trump, is going to cut my Social Security by 24. Yeah, it's not him. It's, it's him because he was president for 4 years. He didn't do anything to save it, to make sure we don't get the cuts. Biden didn't do anything to make sure the cuts won't come. Clinton didn't. Obama didn't. Bush didn't. Daddy Bush didn't. So yeah, it goes all the way back. So, and every politician for the last 40 years haven't done their job. So, and we haven't forced them to do their job. Why don't politicians do their job? Because they've got competing interests. We've got the rich people that are paying paying for my campaigns and stuff like that. Why are they paying for my campaigns? Why are they giving me all this money so I can go in there and campaign and get people to vote for me? And then you got people that actually vote for you. So if we see past the fancy campaign ads and stuff like that and actually vote for, policies rather than, sound bites and distractions, then we could have made our politicians do the right thing, but we didn't. We decided to focus on this distractions about it was given to Ukraine or illegals or was stolen or, some other BS. So we're in this pot as well. 72-year-old woman gets $13.93 for retirement age, rent $12.25, daughter lives with her and provides care and help with daily living. Can she apply for SSI to help with living expenses? Um, the parent, the 72-year-old woman, no, because on SSI, the max you can get this year is $967. So if you're talking about the daughter, um, the only time you can get filed and get SSI is if you're disabled. So if she's disabled, yes, go ahead and file. She files for SSI and SSDI, Supplemental Security Income and Social Security Disability Insurance, both of those programs. But she has to be disabled. Or if she's 65 or older, because there's also a category for if you're 65 or older, you can file for SSI. But SSI, remember, is a welfare-based program, low-income program, basically low income, low resources. So she could be very well eligible for that. But just taking care. But some states do. Some states do have a program that you're speaking of. California, Colorado, some other states. I would contact the state, and what they do is they pay for like a caregiver. In California, it's called IHSS, and so they'll pay for a caregiver, any caregiver, including her daughter, to take care of her because they would prefer people to stay in their own homes. It's cheaper than going to a facility, so it's cheaper just to pay someone, a relative or whoever, to take care of that person. So it actually works for everybody. People get to stay in their own home where they're comfortable with. The people get compensated for doing the right thing. And then on my website as well, make sure you check out, let me pop it up here real quick. On my website on the more living on Social Security alone, you click on that and it has a bunch of different other programs that might be eligible for. Definitely check it out. And on my YouTube description, it has a link to a video I did on living on Social Security alone. It talks about 50 different programs that just might help you out. So let's see. Can I start Social Security even though I've already earned $60,000 this year? I'm 65. I will have to pay it back, but they recalculate it when I turn 67. Can you start Social Security? Yeah, if you made $1 billion up until today, but you're going to start your benefits next month, Social Security doesn't care what you made before you start your benefits the first year. So for this year, it's $1,950. So you made $1 billion up until today. Congratulations, you're awesome. But starting in August, you're going to stop working, or you're going to stay under $1,950. As long as you're good there, if you stay under the $1,950 for the rest of the year, then you can start your benefits next month or this month. The first month you go under $1,950, they don't care what you made before. And then next year you have to stay under the annual earnings limit. You can't do the monthly thing again. You can only do that one time. And next year, whatever the annual earnings limit is going to be, what, 25,000 or whatever the case may be. I forgot to turn my light on, didn't I? So anyway, yeah. And, but what you're talking about recalculate when you turn 67 is if you start your benefits and then because of work or whatever, you get those benefits suspended, they do recalculate your benefits once you turn your full retirement age, and that is 100% automatic. Patricia, does your primary care physician determine if you are able-bodied and able to work? If not, who does? If you're talking about disability, it's decided by DDS, the Disability Determination Service. It's a state agency that Social Security, works with to actually make the medical determination based on Social Security disability policies. So your physician, if your physician say, oh yeah, you definitely can't work, that's nice, that helps your case, but it's ultimately up to the Social Security Administration and the DDS, the state agency that makes that decision. If you're even thinking about filing for disability, you're not working, you're unable to work because of your disability, make sure you go onto our website, mygovexpert.com. This is y'all's as well. It's all free on here. So, and then yes, apply. If you're not currently working or you're working under what's called a substantial gainful activity, which is $1,620 this year, then go ahead and apply. Please apply, because it takes forever to get your disability claim approved. And people out there, stop repeating the other myth that everybody's disability claim is denied the first time. That is a myth. That is BS. People on here can immediately, and you're in the live Q&A in the comments, oh yeah, I was approved the first time. Or some people, oh, I wasn't approved, but people are approved the first time every day. And why that hurts, that myth hurts, is because it's kind of other people that are thinking about filing, and they're going through their medical issues and they have financial issues and emotional issues and stuff. And they're like, I just can't take another hit of being denied. So if everybody's denied the first time, I'm just not going to apply. And so when you hear somebody say that, tell them to, well, I'm not going to tell you what to tell them, but you know what to tell them. Tell them, shut up. Anyway, we're living in hard times now. Just pull your boot socks up and put your hands in your pockets and go about your business. Yeah. What do they call it? The Hoover flag. Was it the Hoover blankets during the Great Depression? The Hoover flag is when you pull out your pockets and you show that you have empty pockets. And the Hoover blankets. Who knows what the Hoover blanket was? So let's see if anybody knows what the Hoover blanket was during the Herbert Hoover, the president. Can you collect SSDI while on administrative leave from FERS? I'm on a deferred retirement from OPM effective through December 30th. The Doge program, effective retirement is December 30th. Yeah, you were summarily moved out of the agency, threatened kind of out of the agency. Either you jump ship now or we might push you over later type thing. But yeah, if you're not working because of a disability, whether you're on some type of administrative or sick leave or something like that, if you stopped working and you stopped working predominantly, because of your disability, or you stopped working because you were kicked out, but also you were about to stop, you were about to stop working because your disability wasn't going to allow you to continue working, then that's fine. So. Maybe you shouldn't freak out people so badly if you change the word you use for future cuts. The word cut sounds like totally being cut off. Maybe use reduction instead. Pretty please. Yeah, I think that's why we're in this. It's like, yeah, potato. Yeah, I think that's why we're here today, is because we didn't get the message, because we were distracted and using pretty language and yeah, ethnic cleansing. Yeah, wow, that sounds awesome. Yeah. I don't do the things you shouldn't. This what keeps me alive. I hope they don't push my comment. Okay, not sure. Did you say that we will be automatically be enrolled in Medicare when we reach that age? Yes. Well, depends. If you are already receiving monthly Social Security benefits, whether it's retirement benefits or surviving spouse or spouse benefits or whatever, divorce spouse benefits, if you're already receiving monthly Social Security checks, then about 100 days before you turn 65, yes, they will sign you up automatically for Part A and Part B. And at that time you get that card in the mail, so be careful, don't throw it away, because usually when you turn 65, everybody in the country reaches out to you. All these Medicare insurance agents reach out to you and, harass you. And so I've seen a lot of people throw away their actual official packet that it had their Medicare card in there. So be careful of that. But if you don't want Part B because you already have creditable coverage from your work or your spouse's work, and that employer has 20 more employees, then you can refuse Part B, save yourself the $185. But if you want it, you just keep it, and then you have to find out how you're going to cover all of the gaps, because there are a lot of gaps in original Medicare. The big one is that 20% co-insurance there for Part B. So you get a $100,000 Band-Aid, you got to cough up 20%, $20,000. So that's why people either get a Medicare supplement plan or a Medicare Advantage plan. I always recommend, make sure you ask about both of them, but a lot of Medicare insurance agents won't tell you about the Medicare supplement plan. They'll just kind of, breeze over it. But make sure you check out all your options. That's why my son and I decided to work with Chapter there, because they go over everything with you. All right, let me get to some of the video questions and I'll come back and get the live questions. And remember, you can ask a video question by going onto my website, mygovexpert.com. On the bottom left, click the little camera icon and record a video like this young
Dr.
man.
Ed, my name is Steve, and I'm calling from Maryland. First, before I forget, let me say I appreciate what you're doing. Okay, I just turned 62 earlier this year, and I'm going to apply for my Social Security benefits. I also will get a pension when I'm 65. I would like to know what one has to do with the other, if anything. You know, is there a reduction in the Social Security, or how that works? Those kind of good things. Anything you could share with me would be appreciated. Also, I plan on moving to a warmer climate, probably out of the country, just because of the sunshine, uh, quality of the food, cost of living, those kind of things. So, if you could help me out with that, that'd be great. And again, I appreciate what you're doing.
All right, Steve, I appreciate it. Okay, so a couple of things. Any other type of pension you get, no relevance whatever to Social Security. 6 months ago, I would have to say, well, if this is a non-covered pension from a government, city, state, whatever, I would have to say that. But with the Social Security Fairness Act, I don't have to say that anymore. So any type of pension you get, Social Security since 1935 has said, please get a pension. 3 legs of the stool: Social Security, your pension, and your savings. Pensions, yeah, you're lucky to have a pension nowadays, but nope, doesn't affect anything at all. And in terms of living overseas, I have on my website there, I've got an entire category because there's a lot of people doing exactly that. So it gives you all of the details in English. If you're a U.S. citizen, you can live anywhere in the world. It's not a big deal. But if you're not, if you're a green card holder, then there are some limitations. But if you're a U.S. citizen, you can live anywhere in the world except for North Korea or Cuba. So if you're looking for sun in Cuba, then yeah, sorry, you're gonna have to make arrangements to get your Social Security check or something some other way. They'll eventually, if you go over there for a year, they'll just stop your benefits. But then once you come back, they'll reimburse you that. So there's, and I don't think you're gonna be going to. I don't think you'd be going to North Korea since you're looking for sun, right? So, all right, let's see what else we have here.
I'm 74 years old. I'm a resident in the state of California, and I currently receive Social Security retirement benefits. I'd like to know if there is a limit to my income for the year.
All right. Once you're past your full retirement age, you can go back to making $1 billion a month and it doesn't affect your Social Security benefits at all. So no relevance whatsoever. If you're under your full retirement age, then, there's the limit, 23,400. The year you turn your full retirement age, 66 and 8 months or 67 or whatever the case may be, then those limits triple basically at 62,160. But once you hit your full retirement age, Social Security doesn't care. And remember, if you do continue working after your full retirement age, you still have to pay FICA tax. You still have to pay into FICA. But if it's one of your high 35 years, that will actually increase your benefits. And you don't have to do anything. So if you work, once the next year comes and your employer or the IRS notifies Social Security how much you make, they look at, Social Security looks at it and says, oh, is this one of her high 35 years? Oh yeah, she worked a lot last year, made a lot of money. It's one of her high 35 years. They kick out a low one, stick in the new one, recalculate, and your benefits are increased. So you could very well get a COLA increase and a benefit increase based on your high 35, completely automatic.
Hello, Dr. Ed. Thank you so much for your wonderful YouTube content.
Thank you.
And I'm very impressed with your new website.
It's awesome.
I have a question that might seem a little dated now, but I've been waiting patiently for my Social Security Fairness Act funds and have not received either the back payment or the adjustment to my monthly payment. There was a page on my socialsecurity.gov that documented my WEP deduction. However, that page disappeared in February, just about the time I went up there to print everything off. So I'm wondering what my next step is. Is it too soon to contact Social Security and ask for a review? Do I need to make an appointment on the phone? Or am I still better off just waiting? I do not have a complicated Social Security scenario, so I don't think that's the holdup. Thank you.
Okay, this is an easy one. Yeah, you should have contacted them in April. If you had one of the easy cases, they've already processed, last I looked, is 92, 94% or so of these cases. According to them, I think they're going to be missing some of the other ones that I've talked about before. But anyway, yeah, yours, if yours was just a regular windfall elimination provision recalculation, it wasn't a GPO or anything like that. If yours was as easy as you said, well, yeah, you should have already gotten your check, your increase, plus back pay all the way to January 2024. So yeah, you need to contact Social Security and tell them, hey, I want that check. So yeah, they actually said, about a month or so ago, if you didn't get it and you're just a simple WEP, windfall elimination provision, then you definitely need to contact us. So contact them. If you don't get any satisfaction, as always, reach out to your politicians and say, hey, I've been waiting for a while here. So, but yeah, that sounds like it's an easy one. Not sure why you haven't got it yet.
Hi, Dr. Ed. Thank you for taking my question. Currently, I am on SSI with Medicaid. And in November of 2026, I turned 62, and I know I have to switch over to my Social Security. Will I still be considered disabled, even though I'll be on my Social Security? And I have 3 years before I can qualify for Medicare. I can't work, and with this whole new big, beautiful bill, or ugly bill, will I still be considered disabled? I can't work, and I'm a full-time caregiver for a handicapped sister. So any advice you can shoot my way, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time.
All right.
Hi.
Okay. Yeah, that's mandated when someone is on SSI, Supplemental Security Income. That's a low income, low resource program that Social Security administers, and that doesn't come out of the Social Security Trust Fund. That comes out of general taxation, general revenues. So Social Security is mandated to take care of general taxation like that money. So if you're eligible for any other benefits, you hit the lottery, get inheritance, you're eligible for retirement benefits from you or a spouse or divorced spouse, surviving spouse, whatever the case may be, you have to get those benefits. So you're turning 62, you're eligible for retirement benefits. And people say, well, if she's eligible for retirement benefits, why didn't she get disability benefits? Because there's two different requirements to become insured for disability. There's actually paying into it for like 10 years, like everybody. And then there's also, you had to work 5 of the last 10 years. So that's probably why she didn't get regular disability. So you're on SSI, and then you're going to file for retirement benefits. And if your retirement benefits is less than your SSI, if it's less than $967, what will happen is you'll get the $500 from retirement benefits, and then you'll get another $467 from SSI. So you'll get 2 checks, a retirement check and an SSI. They usually come at the same time and stuff. So anyway. So yeah, you'll still be disabled. It's just you're receiving, retirement benefits. So your disability will still continue. You're just not eligible for SSDI disability. Okay. So, but if your retirement check turns out to be $2,500 a month, then yeah, you'll lose your SSI because it's more than SSI, and you'll have to deal with the state, and all bets are off there because the states are, because you can't cut $1 trillion out of Medicaid budget and not have it affect. I did the calculations, and supposedly, most of about 90% or so of the people that are receiving Medicaid are working, elderly, or disabled, or children, or caregivers, and all that other kind of stuff. And there's a small percent of that is supposedly the people that can actually work. And so if you cut $1 trillion, yeah, that's not $1 trillion of people. So they've got to cut other places. So what I think is going to happen, what everybody thinks is going to happen is, yeah, each state is gonna, they're going to make it hard for people to continue your benefits. So they're not going to technically cut you. They're just going to make it very difficult to continue your benefits, the paperwork and you not have any people to help you and all the rest of that stuff. So that's why, as the first comment I popped up there, that we in this community are going to help people throughout the country make sure they're able to jump over those hurdles. So I'm working on that part of our platform now. Stay tuned on that one. But as of right now, reach out to your state politicians and tell them, hey, this is critical. I need this. I need Medicaid. And if something happens, then here's the situation I'm in. So impress upon your politicians. And then we'll keep working on our side to, see what we can do to help you out when you start getting those recertifications for Medicaid. Your website has an alert, my connection not private. What does this mean? Not sure. My website, you don't have to, register. There's no place to register and log in or any of that stuff. You can, go to my Facebook page and go to my YouTube and stuff, but yeah, you don't, it's all free. You can, if you want help from I used to do these one-on-one appointments, phone appointments, helping people out, but not able to do them anymore. But I've got someone that's got tons of experience, a former Social Security employee that is doing those. So if you want help, we do charge for those. So she gets paid and it helps maintain the website. So, but yeah, one of the other problems, some people said they've gotten alerts when they go into the website. That's just because the website is super new. And, when you get a new website like that, it starts freaking out, think it's something sketchy because it's so new. It's just, it's because it is new. So that's the reason some people get a little pop-up that says, hey, this looks like a sketchy website because it's so new and it's so awesome and it's better than SSA.gov. So there's that.
For my Social Security at my full Social Security age of 67, does my disabled adult child stay on his regular SSI, or does he have to switch over to receive benefits from me?
Okay, same type of situation. Anybody that is on SSI is obligated to file for any other benefits they're eligible for. So if you start your benefits and you have a child under the age of 18 or that became disabled before the age of 22, then yes, they will be obligated to file for benefits on your record, depending on their age, under the age of 18 or disabled before the age of 22. If they're not disabled before the age of 22, then no, because what it is called DAC benefits, disabled adult child benefits. So that adult child could be eligible for benefits on your record. So Debbie, I'm worried because I'm on SSDI due to cancer. Oh my gosh. And I have Medicaid and pray they don't cut me or take away my Medicaid. Yeah. So our national politicians pretty much sold us out on that one by cutting, fraud, waste, and abuse. And they use that as just kind of a distraction to make massive cuts. And then they keep saying the same story about the 20s. All you have to do is calculate it. Look it up. Kaiser Family Foundation does one of the best in terms of analysis of, they're the guys that built all the ships during World War II and on the West Coast. Kaiser, the big, it's a strange name, Kaiser, that they're Germans, but they work mostly well. Anyway, but yeah, they also do kind of established some of the first health care programs for the workers and stuff like that. So they've always been kind of involved. But look up the Kaiser Family Foundation, and it'll show you that, okay, how many % of people on Medicaid are actually, these type of people that are 26-year-old, playing PlayStation in the kids in the parents, basement or something. And then you come up with that calculation and you say, okay, $1 trillion divided by however many. And it's like, wait, the math ain't mathing. So they use that as a trick again to trick us, and we bought it hook, line, and sinker. And a lot of people are going to suffer because of it. Yeah. Got a question. I just started Social Security and a pension, and I'm 70 years old and still working full time. How can I know how much taxes I have to pay at the end of it? Yeah, you'll have to talk to your tax person on that. That's one thing I stay away from is taxes. Let's see. Let's get to, I think I have some more video questions. Let's see. There we go. One.
Hello, Ed. I have a quick question for you. Currently, I'm receiving SSDI. If they cut those benefits, as you were saying, in 2034 or 35, would we still get the yearly stipend for the cost of living? Would that still be in effect after or if they cut the benefits? Thank you.
Yeah, as of right now, the law is written, and that was changed. So you're talking about COLA, the cost of living allowance, and that is not decided by politicians. So, people are saying, oh, when this president was president, I got a 8.7% COLA, and when this other guy was president, I only got a 2%. It has nothing to do with them, other than inflation. So at 8.7, that means that inflation was high at that particular time, because what it is they basically look at a basket of goods in the third quarter of one year and the third quarter of the next year. And then the accountants do the calculations, and it's completely automatic. It was taken out of the political sphere in the early 1970s. But yeah, as of right now, nothing will change in terms of COLA. So, and then that's another thing that's might actually make the cuts, and I'm not going to say reductions, because these, potato. If you're living on $1,200 a month, and I think you're going to consider that a cut rather than just a recalculation of my benefits to account for, the trust fund allocation. Yeah, no, my check was cut, so we need to make a harsh reality there. But when the COLA, when tariffs and things like that, those tariffs kick in, that it causes inflation. It's not hitting now because, the ships are already here and, it's already unloaded in the warehouses and stuff like that. When you do tariffs, it takes about, 2 or 3 or 4 months to actually start hitting. So if those things continue to hit and then prices go up, that means COLA will go up and say, wow, this president gave us a higher COLA this year. Yeah, because the inflation was so high. And because there's a higher COLA, that's going to take out of the trust fund more money. And therefore, we could just possibly get more cuts, not 23 or 21, but 1 or 2 or 3% more. And it just might happen sooner. So, we might get a double, triple whammy there on that. But yeah, COLA as it is right now, it still continues.
Yes, my name is Carol, and I draw SSI benefits, and I would like to know if you can get term life insurance and it not affect your benefit. And you're doing a great job, Dr. Ed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yes, if you're receiving SSI, you can get term life insurance, and I'm actually working, my son's working with a company now, because a lot of people, some people need that term life burial insurance, final expense, they call it. And there's a lot of unscrupulous people out there. So we just like we did with Chapter, we found a place that is good, and we're keeping an eye on them. So my son is working with them now to get that arrangement set up as well. But with that type of thing, if the only thing insurance-wise that will affect your SSI is a whole life, where you have cash surrender value, particularly. So if you have like an insurance policy that has a cash surrender value of, $20,000, and you go file for SSI or have SSI, which is again needs-based, welfare-based program, they're going to say, no, you got $20,000 sitting there. You got to go get that. So that's why that's an issue. But if you're looking at term insurance, there is no cash surrender value until, yeah, and that's too late then, right? So yeah, that doesn't affect whatsoever. So all right, let's see. And because that Social Security, $255, yeah, doesn't cover anything.
Hey, Dr. Weir. My name is Giuseppe from New York. Quick question. My mother did a one-on-one with you in April, and my case came about. Had SSD since 2019, but heard about the DAC, the Disabled Adult Child thing. So she asked you if I should apply. And now that I've applied, I've hit a lot of roadblocks. They want me to go out for an IME when I just got the CDR approved a year ago for the CDR. So it makes no sense to me because what I'm trying to find out is, did it matter when the injury happened in 2005 when I was 18, or when they found me disabled, which was when I was 33 in 2019? Because if that's the case, then I was 33 and I should, I guess, cancel my application. And they don't seem to know what they're doing at the state OTDA office because they can't find my records, etc. It's a mess. But if you could clarify that for me, if it's based on when the injury happened, which I was 18 at the time in 2000.
Okay, perfect. All right. So, wow, say hello to your mother there. Sound like a Saturday Night Live thing. But anyway, but yeah, I used to do those one-on-one appointments, but just got too much. So, but we do have someone if you want a one-on-one. So number one, good that you filed, because you never know what's going to happen. Nobody knows. Just file, and just do it right. Look at my website there, and it gives you the entire process. So even though you got a CDR recently, but that's a CDR based on your own record. So they're looking at your current disability, whether it still continues. Okay, so that's a whole separate issue. The DAC, the Disabled Adult Child thing, is yes, they have to determine you became disabled before the age of 22. When you filed for benefits on your own record, they just looked to see if you were disabled. So are you disabled? 33, I guess it was. Are you disabled? Yes. They looked at, are you disabled now? 33, and that's all they did, because they didn't look back, 20 years before the age of 22, or 10 years before 22. So now that you're eligible for disabled adult child benefits, that's what they have to do. So they have to determine you became disabled before the age of 22. And because it was a traumatic event, that usually it's easier than some type of progressive type thing. So, you actually had an accident, but it's also, were you able to work after that accident? So continue. Long story short, continue. Because you filed a while ago, that's common for them not to have the files readily available. It'll take them a while to unarchive them and pull them out of, storage and all that kind of stuff. But if you have any type of documents, the accident record, or, got a life insurance, car insurance settlement, and, whatever you have, provide that to them, because they are looking around for some type of documentation that shows you did in fact become disabled before the age of 22 years old. So that is the issue. So please, please, please continue on with the application and fight.
We live in Kentucky. We have custody of my 8-year-old grandson that is disabled and on social SSI. I'm sorry. Should we be worried about his Medicaid, and what steps do we take to make sure he doesn't lose it?
Wow. So you have custody. just want to throw this out there. If anybody has taken care of their grandchildren, which a lot of people are, unfortunately, and you're receiving benefits yourself, retirement benefits, disability benefits, grandchildren can collect benefits on your record if you adopt them or if their parents are deceased or disabled. If not, then yeah, unfortunately, grandchildren. Given the number of people, grandparents taking care of grandchildren nowadays, they should definitely think about maybe including that, but not yet. But in terms of Medicaid, the entire process for continuing Medicaid is going to be far more difficult, and there's not going to be any help in a lot of these Medicaid offices because there's not going to have enough staff. They're going to push out the staff and make it more difficult. And that's in the big beautiful bill. They delayed a law that was regulation that was put into place that was going to make it easier for people to get and continue their Medicaid and their Medicare savings program and all the rest of it. But Congress, in their great wisdom, decided, no, we don't want to make it easy for people. So that's how they're going to come up with that extra $1 trillion that they're looking for cuts. So there's also a really terrible part of the big beautiful bill where you can get a really good tax discount, a tax cut on buying a private jet. So there's that and consolation. So if you're looking to buy a private jet, then you're going to get big tax breaks. But in terms of anyway, you just have to make sure you contact your politicians, your state politicians, and say, yes, we understand you're going to get billions less from the federal government. And is there any way the state, it depends on what state you're in, whether the state has a budget to cover up that deficit. If they don't, then they're going to start, cutting people off or making it more difficult. So you just have to make sure you do the paperwork 100% correctly on time. And if they drop the ball in the Medicaid office, you have to fight, unfortunately. So again, I'm getting the ball rolling and with the new platform that we're building, and then I am going to need y'all to populate it with resources. So I'm going to build the shell, and then I'm going to reach out to the community, appeal to the community to fill it in. So this is, and then 5 or 10 years, once it's all built and stuff, I'll say bye-bye and it's all yours. So this is a self-sustaining organism, it will be. So looking forward to it. If nothing happens to fix Social Security, prevent those cuts, then it doesn't benefit waiting till 70, seeing that the cuts will be taking the extra 28% out of the equation. Yeah, a lot of people think that. They say, well, they're going to get cuts in the future. But if you are actually going to wait till 70, so you let's say it's 24% cuts. So if you just go ahead and get it early and your benefit amount is $1,000, then you're going to get 24% cut less. So you're going to get less. But if you wait till 70, you'll get a 24% more because you're getting those delayed retirement credits, and then they'll just cut it back so you get your $1,000. But then again, you're not going to get those benefits for 3 years. And so, yeah, the whole, yes, it's crazy. So nobody, super long story short, nobody can tell you when you should start your benefits. You just make the best decision with the information you have, and some of the information you can go onto my website again and click on the retirement tab there, and you can click on when to start, and it just gives you a bunch of questions you can ask yourself about that. And I've also got a free calculator there that you put in your information. Let's see, 1961, let's say your benefit amount is 1741. You click on it and it tells you all your, if you start your benefits this year, this is how much you're going to make over your lifetime. And, 80 is your break-even point where it should have been. So, but it really depends on your particular situation. So you can go into this website and check it out. And that is 100% free. It is a free calculator, a free website. So knock it out. Share, subscribe, like, and all that kind of good stuff. Support the channel so we can continue to make this free, awesome stuff for everybody. You mentioned that some countries' national healthcare system qualifies as creditable coverage if you are on Medicare, but living outside the country, so you might not need Part B. Does chapter know which? I don't think they know which countries are creditable coverage. I'm sure they can do the research. I think England is, Japan is. So you have to be part of that national health insurance. And I always say to get the definitive, if you're going to move to whatever country, reach out to the embassy or the consulate, the American embassy or consulate in that particular country, and ask them whether that national health insurance is creditable. Don't call your local Social Security office. They can't help you with that. You can call the Office of International Operations back in Baltimore, but their staffing got really, really cut. But yeah, you can call chapter, and Ari and his team love challenges. So you tell them what country, and I'm sure they'll do the research. Yeah. So yeah, call them up. That's an interesting one. Call them up and ask them, and let us know how that went, whether they were able to help you out. But that's a difficult one because each country is a little bit different, and they have those totalization agreements, and it's complicated, and they change all the time. And maybe the national health insurance was creditable coverage one time, and and considering, they're going to be cutting Medicare because of the deficit that was caused by this big, beautiful bill thing. So it might be creditable coverage one year and then switch. So. Linda, I called the national number. The lady was very knowledgeable and answered all my questions. I am disabled widow and drawing on my own Social Security. My husband, you're doing such an awesome job. Oh, thank you. And it sounds like the national 800 number, that person did an awesome job too. And awesome. Good deal. Good deal. We like it when local offices and 800. So if you've got that, I know they're trying to change a lot of the phone service to AI, artificial intelligence. And I'm telling you, it's a hit and miss with artificial and AI. Chat GPT and all that stuff. I ask it Social Security questions. I just kind of play around with it every time. A lot of times I ask it Social Security questions and it tells me something completely wrong. And another time it tells it right. And the other time it's just, it misses. Well, what about this? And you forgot to, it's in its infancy. So I definitely wouldn't trust it, particularly when you're talking about, something you paid into the system for 30 or 40, 50 years and you need it for the rest of your life. I don't think AI would trust it yet. Currently on SSDI, FRA next month. If I tell Social Security on Monday that I want VDRCs, will I still continue to get my SSDI benefits up to 70? Nobody gets their SSDI benefits up to 70. No, nobody. Everybody's SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance, stops at full retirement age. And then you're just switched over to regular retirement benefits. So if you want to stop your retirement benefits when they switch, so you just call up and say, I'm approaching my full retirement age. I want to go ahead and suspend my benefits and get those voluntary delayed retirement credits. And then you have to explain to the person that there is such thing as voluntary delayed retirement credits, because a lot of Social Security employees don't know about it because the public doesn't know about it, so they don't ask about it. But no, you're if you suspend your benefits to get the voluntary delayed retirement credits, then your benefits are going to be suspended. You won't get a check until you restart those. So if you're on regular Social Security, are we going to have cuts in our monthly checks? Yes. If we don't do something, which it doesn't look like we're going to, then 20 to 23% cuts in, another 8 or 9 years. And this is people who say, well, they won't touch me. They always grandfather people that are already at. No, that's now how they'll have to completely change the Social Security law, because the Social Security law says if Social Security, if the money you got coming in is this, you can't give out that. You have to give out only what you got. And it doesn't matter whether it's new people or old people or whatever. If they do it that way, where they're like, oh, the people that are receiving benefits, we won't cut them. But the new people, that means the new people get like a 50% cut or something. I don't think that's going to happen. I'll be moving to Sweden. Okay. I don't think you were talking about a warm climate there, right? Started working at 15. Yeah, you and I, you started late. I was cutting grass and delivering the Miami News and the Homestead Newsletter at 12 or 13. So anyway, retired at 65. Okay, receiving SSDI for work injuries and cancer. Wow. I just turned 70. Do I have to worry about the changes with this awful bill will make for people all over America? Yeah. Again, yeah. I kind of just answered that one. It affects everybody, unfortunately. So reach out to your politicians and tell them, number one, do something, and number two, we've been telling you to do something. Social Security Trustees report has been telling you to do something for 40 years. Why haven't you all done it? So, all right, let's see, let's get one or two more questions and then we'll call it a night. Hey, I just want to thank you for your help. You're welcome. It's been a year since October. I was at step 3. After calling my local office, I was moved to step 4. Hope that I get my SSDI soon. Awesome. So yes. So wonder if it's been since October. I wonder if that's your initial claim of disability benefits that I've called my local. Yeah, okay, it is SSDI. If it was a retirement, I was really going to freak out there. You shouldn't wait for your retirement benefits or survivor benefits or spouse benefits since October. But disability, that sounds about right now. When I was taking disability claims, and everybody at that time, we told people, yeah, you'll get an answer within 3 to 6 months. And then the last few years, it's been 6 to 9 months. And now it's, yeah, anyway, because there's just no staff there. All right, we are over an hour and out of time, so I will be back again tomorrow, answer a whole bunch more questions. Remember, we love those video questions, so please keep them coming in. If you got any comments or anything, just put them in the comments down there, and y'all have an awesome night, and please, 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 please take care of each other. Bye-bye.